Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much. If you are joining us here for our first Apex Learning webinar, our Lunch and Learn session, perhaps you are watching it during your lunch break, or if not, that's okay. You can watch this anytime. Pull up a snack, some popcorn. We're going to help answer some questions here that we know you have if you're a parent, family, or a student of a high schooler. It's that time of year where we're choosing courses for the next academic year. We know there's a number of questions everyone has out there about how to choose the right courses, what courses are right for me, for my child. What do some of these different course types mean? AP, honors, dual credit, CTE. We're going to talk through all of that here today with Apex Learning Head of School, Dr. Courtney Acosta. Courtney began her career as a science teacher in Texas and has advanced through roles as assistant principal, principal, chief of operations, overseeing advanced academics, career and technology education, counseling services, school safety. So she's been all around, and now she is our head of school here at Apex Learning. And who better to answer some of these questions for us today? So, Courtney, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ross. I'm excited. Love, love, love all the different roles that I've been in, but of course, serving as a principal is the best. And probably the thing that makes me even more qualified than all those pieces is I am currently a mom of two graduating seniors, and so I'm living this life right now. But yeah, I'm really excited to be here. Thanks for the invite.
All right. So it's timely. It's fresh in your
Yeah,
mind,
it
all
is.
these things that you need to decide. So let's start with one of those I mentioned, that dual credit versus AP versus honors, right? These are things that uh, parents are going to see when they're looking at course selection. Students are thinking through which of these options is good for me, which one helps me get, where I'm trying to go with my post-secondary goals, right? Can you talk us through what are the differences between those different tags? What do they mean? And why are they beneficial, right? Why should
Yeah.
students consider taking courses in some of those areas?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will start off with just a brief description of what each one of them is, and then I'll get into some of the details. But so if we're talking about standard courses, these are your on-level courses that a student would take, like biology or chemistry, or they're, taking algebra one, whatever those courses are. Then you can start to differentiate these courses based on kind of the level of rigor, where they're taken, the kind of credits awarded, and any of the other opportunities that come after that. So, for example, an honors course is your standard course that has an increased depth of rigor. So, it's a little bit more difficult course, but it's still taken at the high school level. So, it's still a high school level course. But it does go a little bit deeper. And on the transcript, you'll see it's the record of all the courses a student has taken, and you'll see that I've taken biology honors. And so it shows colleges, universities, career pathways, whatever, that this student has gone above and beyond the standard level of course to challenge themselves. So that's an honors. Then you have AP. AP is advanced placement. These are courses that have been approved by the College Board, which is an entity that is internationally recognized, that says this is a College Board level course. These are standardized college level curriculum that a student will take throughout the course of the year. And then at the end of the year, there's an opportunity to take an exam that is a national exam, where they can go in and have the potential based on a score of 1 to 5 and based on the university that they're attending, when they get into college, they could potentially earn college credit based on their score. So this also would be indicated on their transcript that they took an AP level course. And so it's another way of showing, post-secondary, after they get out of high school, that they did challenge themselves while in high school. And then the third one you brought up was dual credit. And dual credit is an actual college course that a student is taking, that they are awarded college level credit on a separate college transcript that they can then bring back with them and also get awarded high school credit. So if you're taking a dual credit English class, then it means you would get potentially 3 hours of college credit at the university or college where it's being awarded, but you also get like junior level English credit for that year. So they're all three really different options, and the right choice very much depends on the student's goals, their readiness, their future plans, what they are intending to do after high school. And so it's important to note that it's not really a hierarchy. One's not better than the other, but instead you're looking at these three opportunities as just serving students in different ways. And so when we look at, for example, an AP course, these are, like I said before, College Board approves them. The teachers get audited at the beginning of the school year, and they have to get approved to be able to teach these courses. They're recognized nationally, and most, if not all, colleges and universities recognize, okay, this student has taken this AP biology, AP US history, whatever it is, and they see that on the transcript and know that this is a more challenging course than the standard level of course. And then whether or not they get credit at the college level will depend on two things. It's going to depend on what they score if they take the exam in May at the end of the year, this nationally recognized exam. They'll take this test in May, and then depending on what they score, they can be awarded credit at the college level. Typically, like a score of 3 to 5. It's scored
Hmm.
1 to 5, but a 3 to 5 can award college credit. You do need to be a little bit careful because there are some times where a college may say, we appreciate the fact that this student challenged themselves and we recognize that they took AP, but we're not going to award you credit for this exam. But they still see that the challenge was there. So it's still
Right.
beneficial to the student, but they may not actually get college hours out of it. It really, it from college to college, it depends. You may even have within an individual college, depending on the major your student is in, will decide whether or not they're going to be awarded credit. So a lot of times, for example, an engineering student, they may not accept College Board credit for an AP calculus exam, even if the student got a 5 on it, because it's important to that college or university that the student take calculus with them. And so it's very dependent on the college whether or not they're going to be awarded credit. Dual credit will guarantee college credit if the receiving college accepts it. So the student goes throughout the course of the year, they pass the course and they get high school credit, and they will get a college transcript that has that credit on there. And the college where they attend after high school will again decide whether or not they are going to accept that credit, much like dual credit. The difference is, I'm sorry, much like advanced placement AP. The difference is the student doesn't have to take this test at the end of the year to decide whether or not they'll be awarded the credit. It's really just looking at whether or not that college in general accepts dual credit and will award them credit in college after. Does that make sense?
Excellent. Yeah, no, that
Okay.
makes a ton of sense. It's very helpful because there are a lot of nuances in these, right?
Mhm.
And it's um, valuable for students as they're considering what their course load is going to be to look at the subject areas differently and how it aligns to their long-term plans, right? And as you said, not necessarily seeing just one as better than the other, but really thinking about which one is aligned with what I'm wanting to do after high school. So I don't
Mhm.
necessarily have to feel, for example, that if a wide number of AP courses are available in my school, that I have to take AP in every single subject. Um,
Right.
if there's certain subjects that I know are higher priority for me and they're the ones where I really want to do well, potentially transfer that college credit or at the very least demonstrate to a university I'm applying to that I'm really good in chemistry because I want to apply to be a chemistry major. So that's super
Mhm.
relevant. And in English or US history, I'm certainly capable of doing honors level work. I don't necessarily need AP there if I don't think that's exactly what I'm going to pursue. If I want to, I still can, right? But
Yes.
you don't have to see it as it has to be all or the other or nothing. Um, which I think is valuable to consider and evaluating what options are available in your high school because we know each high school is going to have a different variety and you're not always going to have every single one of these available anyway. Um, how
Yeah.
about career and technical education, CTE? So this is something that I'm sure families have heard a lot about. I think it has changed a lot over the years, though, and what's
Hmm.
available and what students can use it for and its benefits. But talk us through that, what those courses are, and how they offer good preparation for post-secondary.
Yeah, career technology education or CTE, these provide some really great opportunities for kids. These are often industry aligned courses. So we're talking about could be healthcare, could be in IT, business, engineering, and the the main goal of these courses is often to provide some real world applied learning opportunities for students so that they can get their hands on what they are actually interested in. And the great thing about CTE that parents of high school students now they can take advantage of is that students can kind of test something out and say, I really think I want to go into engineering and I'm really excited about that. And I'm interested in that. And they can start to dig in on that in their high school time instead of waiting until they're in college, where potentially, let's say they get in to their first 6, 9, 12 hours of courses and go, oh my gosh, I don't really like this. This is not for
Mm,
me. And you're already a semester or a year in of paying for courses. So the opportunity for CTE at the high school level is really cool because it allows students to get in with some of these industry related courses and start to play around with them and see if it is what they think it is and see if they still are interested in it. And some of them can even, if you go a certain number of years and there are trainings and assessments that you can take at the end of it, that you can actually get certified. So, for example, I had students that went through 3 years of basically vet tech preparation. They took a test at the end of it. And by their senior year, they were able to work as a veterinary technician in a vet's office for their senior year of high school and even into college as they were preparing to go to veterinary school in their
mm,
undergrad. So
right.
it's just really cool that now kids can have opportunities to play around with it a little bit and test and see where their interests are. And it's not so high stakes. It's a lot easier to back off of it if you don't like it. And the other cool thing about CTE courses is they very often will focus on these workforce readiness skills that really prepare students for college, career, even military, whatever it is that they want to do coming out of high school, where they are increasing their communication skills. They're really doing some intense problem solving. They've got project based experiences built into most of these courses. And then, like I said before, if you can stack on these certifications potentially where you're getting job opportunities or internships or it looks good on college applications to have some of this stuff moving forward. I think it's a great time for kids to be able to dig in and see where their interests are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you make so many great points that are so important to think about with respect to what CTE can be for students, right? That this question is not like a separate question from the first one about the AP
No, yeah,
honors
yeah.
full credit, right? That it is all part of that post-secondary readiness about having students be able to make informed decisions about what
Mhm.
their learning pathway should be after high school, right? So if they're going to a 4-year college or university, what's the right school for me? What should I be studying? Because I do know what type of career fields I'm interested in. What does that look like? This is really helpful to those schools to have students coming in with a more informed perspective on, okay, I know what course of study I'm entering into, and I'm staying with it, and right, and I'm making the right choice about the school where I should be, and I know what courses I need to take, and all of those things. That it's not just about CT certainly often can be a great preparation to go directly into the workforce after high school in a lot of fields.
Mhm.
Some of those students may go into the workforce and then go back to school later, but it also is a really good awareness of what types of fields appeal to me, what are job ready skills, like you said, that's not always strictly about a specific profession or industry, but just about what it means to be in the workforce and
Yes.
to apply those skills to interact, right? All of those things that again are really challenging when students, even those who come out of a university but haven't had that type of exposure, it can be a steep learning curve once they go into the workforce and they have lots of knowledge and preparation in other ways, but you still have to learn how to be in the workplace. And these are all really valuable skills for success. Um, how about some of the things outside of school? So, extracurriculars, community service opportunities. What are some of the ways to find those type of opportunities that are both enriching, also look good on college applications, right? And a variety of benefits there.
Yeah. So colleges and universities right now are really looking for a well-balanced student. So one of the things that you said earlier was you don't have to take everything AP. You don't have to take everything dual credit. Like it should be a mix of things because what they are wanting to see is that students have academically challenged themselves, but they have also put themselves in different situations in their community where they are serving their community or they are leading their peers or they have taken chances outside of school to grow as a human, right? And so you have to make sure that while you're taking your AP or dual credit or your CTE courses, that you're also really staying balanced in making sure that students can handle everything that's put in front of them. And another piece of this to consider that is just as important is this idea of extracurricular activities. And so what we're seeing is that the colleges and universities today, they really want 2 to 3 really meaningful commitments. That is better than having 10 very artificial kind of just I signed up for a club and I went to a meeting once a month for a couple of years. They really want to see that kids have longevity and they have had growth over the years. It's really great if you get into an organization like let's say you're in band and your first year you're a band member and then your second year maybe you're a section leader and then your third year you get into maybe like a something bigger, a drum major or something like that. It's really great to see that there have been opportunities for growth over the years in these clubs and organizations. Same thing with community service. Colleges are going to value highly really authentic experiences over just saying, I had this many hours. If you can speak in a college application to talk about what this experience meant to you, how it changed you, how it gave you a different perspective on life, that there's some kind of reflective moment because of this community service, or it changed you, allowed it to change you in some way because you were so deeply invested in it. That's going to make a really big difference over saying I spent this many hours doing this one activity over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of times you hear more is better, and that's not necessarily true. And it's not necessarily true that it has to be some really big, impressive thing or that you should be doing what everybody else is doing, but you should be heavily invested in it and truly something that you're passionate about. Because if you can stay year after year and show growth through these activities, whether it's extracurricular, community service, something like that, then that's what is honestly more important. And I'll also add another thing that we see is they value when students have they have a situation at home that requires them to work, there you are able to say that on a college application and say, the reason I was not able to do an extracurricular activity is because I needed to work to help my family. I needed to work to support XYZ. And that's okay too. And that also shows that the student is able to commit to something over um, a long period of time
Yeah.
and really pour into that. And so I think all three of those things, whether it's extracurricular, it's community service, it's a job that they've held for a significant amount of time, those all look really great on college applications. And they also look really good when you go, if you go into the workforce and you're wanting to put that on a resume. Those are things that a student would definitely want to have to show a balanced profile.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like so much of the decision making around which types of opportunities to pursue, engage in, which types of courses to select
Mhm.
are certainly it's about how do you give yourself an advantage, but it's about not thinking of it, in terms of an advantage versus someone else more than an advantage toward the goal that you want to achieve. Right? What
Right.
is helping me get where I want to go? So that's the type of
Mhm.
community service I should do, or the type of extracurricular, or the courses I should take. And that is helpful to asking the right questions about what's right for me, right? Because there's no objective,
Yeah.
this is better than that. There's a variety of options in any case, a lot of different things that one can do. But it's what is going to give you a sustainable, a path forward once you're at a school that you're happy there and that you're in a course of study that you enjoy and that you're succeeding in so you can stick with
Yeah.
it, or in a career that is a good fit. That is something that not only do you have the aptitude for, but also you find fulfilling, it's meaningful in any number of ways that you define. And now you're happy that you had the advantage to
Yeah.
get there, right? Versus, okay, I won the sprint to get to whatever this thing is, but ultimately it's not really the right thing for me, so I have to change course anyway. Sometimes hard to know all those things, but I guess to wrap it up, are there either any additional questions a family or student might ask to kind of try to make some of those nuanced decisions about, okay, I understand all these things that are available, but how do I quite get to what's best for me? Either questions they should ask and or just who they should ask them to, right? So somebody that they
Yeah.
can go to kind of talk through this in a little more detail to make some of those maybe tough decisions about these are the things I'm considering, which one might I want to go with?
Yeah, I definitely think so. As far as questions to think about when you're trying to choose the right courses for um, for your student or for yourself, if you are the student, I think the first one is, what are my goals? Like, what am I trying to achieve post high school? If it's college, then what kind of college do I want to go to? And what are their requirements? If I look at a couple of them that are kind of at the same level, and if it's career, then what kind of job am I interested in? I think and that's the second question is, what do I care about? Where are my passions in life, and where can I spend my time in activities that would support those passions? So those are things that as a family, I have had conversations with my own kids about, what do you care about? What could you be involved in for the next 10, 15 years and be excited about that? And where could you make a real contribution in life and you'd feel like you were working toward achieving your goals? So that's the first thing, is having those conversations as a family. I think that's really great. And it's cool to hear your kids talk about that stuff.
Yeah,
It's not talking about the next activity that's happening or what test you're taking, but you're really talking about these life decisions. And that's one of my favorite things about working with high school kids, is these level of conversations you get to have with them. And then I think there are a lot of things as a parent that go beyond your ability to know the answers to. And so there are people at school that can help your child as well. And I think you start with these conversations with their counselor. If you're talking about particular courses and what their track should be, I think that's a great place to start is their school counselor. Also, if you have trusted teachers that you know are experts in that level. If you have a math teacher that you really know has worked well with your student, then I think you could also set up some time and talk with them. Or if there's a CTE teacher where you're like, I think I might be interested in this, but I'm not really sure that I want to commit to a full year of taking this course. Can you tell me more about it? Teachers love talking about their content, especially at the high school level. They love it when kids get engaged in it and when they're interested in it. And so that's another group that parents and students, families can go have these conversations with to try to learn more about where the opportunities are. I think that's a great place to start.
Awesome. Well, that's all super helpful. I'm sure our viewers out there have found the same. So, Courtney, I really appreciate you sharing here. And I also want to say out to our viewers as you're working through these decisions, right, for your full-time schedules. Let's say you land on some AP course that you really want your student to take, your student wants to take. It's not offered in your school right now or can't fit within the schedule. Um, you can go over to apexlearningbs.com if you want to take an individual course, whether that's over the summer, during the school year, right? A lot of popular courses, AP, honors, world language, CTE, the entire catalog. So options there to make sure that no matter what you are interested in, what the future looks like, right? That there's flexible ways, creative ways to solve that. Um, we'll have more of these sessions coming your way in the future, so you could also subscribe here to the YouTube channel to get these as well, to just kind of keep answering some of these questions that we know you're all working through these times of year, and hopefully to be helpful. So thanks everybody for viewing, and we'll be back next time.
Thanks.